Hey everybody, welcome to Psycho Opinion. Tonight we've got conspiracies that we're going to be discussing, and once again, what does conspiracies have to do with horror? Well, first of all, it does have something to do with horror. We'll kind of get into that a little bit. There are these connections and correlations, but also I pick topics that I feel like, I don't think horror is just to the screen. I don't think it's just a movie thing. I mean, there's real horrors in real life, and that's why sometimes we do true crime, things like that. But sometimes just what's going on in the world around us is a damn horror show. And so I find some of these topics to be quite interesting to talk about.
I agree.
Some of these conspiracies, if they're true, are rather scary, actually. And on top of that, there's things. Here's a connection for you, and we'll go ahead and start there. Actually, before I get to that, I want to say this. I don't really want to, necessarily rock the boat with anybody on these conspiracy theories, because I know some people are very passionate about this. The flat earthers, things like that. But there is a certain amount of common sense and logic that come with these things, and that's where I'm coming from tonight. I'm sorry if you're offended by that, but I'm really just going to give you my point of view and kind of how I feel about it and what I think about it. And with that, I don't have that as a note because it's kind of a new thing that happened. But Trump getting shot in the ear is the newest conspiracy I think that I've heard a lot about. And my opinion on that is I'm not going to get into the politics of it because I really don't care about the politics of it, to be quite frank. That's not this kind of show.
Right.
But I will tell you, my viewers, the same thing I've told everybody else. If that man had somebody shoot him in the ear, I will vote for him because that is the ballsiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I would not trust the number one greatest world sniper. I wouldn't trust that Turkish dude in the Olympics. I wouldn't trust anybody to shoot me in the damn ear when I'm up there making a speech moving around. So I'm sorry, but that is the craziest thing that I have ever heard, is somebody being like, oh, he set that up himself to get, recognition or this or that. And it's like, man, who would have somebody shoot them
even the best sharpshooter in the world? Like, I'm with you on that. That is just wild. I don't think anyone would hire a sharpshooter.
But that's, of course, us believing he actually got shot.
Okay. Whether he got shot or not, whatever. But I'm going to say that, let's say for the sake of argument, he did get shot in the ear. Let's just say for the sake of argument.
Okay.
If somebody were to believe that he got shot in the ear and he set that up himself, I think you're bonkers.
I'm going to add another piece. Let's say he did set it up. What if in the ear wasn't where they were supposed to shoot him?
Oh, like they were supposed to shoot him. Where else would they shoot him?
Like in the shoulder or something?
He went in and said, hey, I want you to shoot me in the thigh.
Oh, you don't want to get shot in the thigh, dude. You got an artery in the thigh.
Or just shoot my hat off. Or just shoot the guy next to me and they accidentally hit him in the ear and you mother.
Yeah, but look at it this way, though, man. You're up there giving a speech where you're
moving around.
You're going to have somebody shoot at you anywhere? Hell no.
Hell no.
Because I could be like, shoot me in the arm, and then I just happen to look to my right and you shoot me in the chest.
Right. There was a guy that supposedly died that day too, though.
Yeah, behind him, right?
2 people passed away. Yeah.
It was a very sad and traumatic thing, and regardless of what people want to say about the politics of it, I'm just going to say I would never in a million years trust anybody to shoot me anywhere. But then again, you also got all these idiots.
Unless you had huevos grande.
Well, I did see an article where 2 guys got arrested because I guess the police were called and they were outside shooting each other with bulletproof vests on to see, I guess, how good the vests were or something. I think the situation that the police just let it be. Let's see this play out. If you got 2 people trying out a bulletproof vest and they want to shoot at each other, I say let it play out.
We're just trying to win the Darwin
I'd be like,
Award.
nah, I want to see whose vest is going to give out first.
Yeah. Because those things aren't meant to just sit there and be shot at like that.
No.
And you know what else I want to say? I want to say one more thing about our political environment before we move on. And once again, I'm not going to pick sides here and I'm not going to get into politics, but I see this on both sides. And I wanted to mention this because I think it's really comical. So I'm in a lot of groups on Facebook, and one of the Facebook groups I happen to be in is like all these vintage tools and medieval gadgets and things like that, because I find that stuff interesting.
Good
so
stuff.
they had a post where they had a belt around the neck. This is a medieval device, and attached to the belt is almost like a two-sided fork. One's here, one's here.
Yeah.
So when you move your head down, you're essentially going to be stabbing yourself in the, lower throat, higher chest area, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm looking at some of the comments because sometimes you want to see what people are saying about things. And literally like 2 or 3 comments down, this guy is like, man, this is how I feel about the Biden administration. It's like slowly killing me. And so I put up there, I commented on his comment. I was like, how did you make that about this or this about that? Like, and that's like the thing that's going on in the political environment these days.
I was wondering where you were going with this. I didn't see the correlation. But
I didn't see the correlation either.
There is no correlation, but I found that on both sides, and I don't care what they say, because one side says they don't do it and the other side does it, and the other side says the same thing, and I don't really care. But I see both sides do it where it's like, they'll literally see, they can make anything about Biden or Trump. They can literally see a man trip and fall on the street, and be like, oh man, that's how I feel about Trump being reelected. It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what? It is crazy to me how many people obsess about these things to the point where it's like, that is how does anything bad happening, the first thing that pops into your head is how you feel about what's going on in the election. Anyway, I'm not going to keep on about that. That's just something I wanted to mention because I just think it's the most, it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Just the start of the election season, dude.
Right, and I think you just landed on like the bulk of where the origin story of most of the conspiracies come from.
Yeah.
Because like most of the conspiracies come from something political, right? Or something of huge financial gain. Like, I don't know if you've got this on the list, like what actually happened to the Titanic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have the Titanic on here, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
Like they'll killed a bunch of people because they wanted to kill 2 people that happened to have been on the ship. Like something with the Rockefellers or something like that. I don't know the specifics.
That is some commitment, though, man. I mean, to take down an entire ship full of people. And there was a lot of very wealthy people on that ship. A lot of, wasn't like the founder of like Sears and Roebuck on that or something like that?
Yep.
I mean, there were some very, very wealthy people on the Titanic.
Titanic is still claiming wealthy lives. So,
yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, where was I going from there? So, all right, so I'll just go ahead and get into this, and we can talk about some of the really big ones and the interesting ones here. And you want to start with a crazy one, or you want to start with like a classic one?
Let's start with the classics, and then we should build up to the crazy ones. Yeah, I just pulled up a list of all the famous people that were on the Titanic. But yeah, I'm ready.
You got anybody good up there, man? Please.
Well, yeah, let's finish the Titanic thing before we move on.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's one of the first names I see on here. It listed a bunch of people.
So,
esteemed chairman and director of the White Star Line, the Titanic's parent company, J. Bruce Ismay, was on the ship. Jesus. The guy who was the CEO of the company was on the ship? A wealthy American industrialist, Benjamin Guggenheim, actual name, crazy. First-class passenger and millionaire founder of the Macy's department store chain.
Macy's. That's what it was. I was thinking Sears, but it was Macy's.
Yep. Him and his wife, Isadora and Ida Strauss. That's wow, bro. That's wow. Self-made billionaire John Jacob Astor. And here's the other thing, too. I'm going to throw another conspiracy in there. I don't even know if they were dead.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I mean,
not a lot of people, but people survived.
Right. But no.
Yeah.
Follow me on this. We are under the impression they were actually on the ship. What if somebody owes somebody a lot of money, right? You pay some homeless person a bunch of money to take a trip on the Titanic. They don't know what's going down.
Yeah, but it's logged into the books that it was you.
That
why
it
would
was
you not, if you were like the founder of Macy's, why would you not want to be alive and well and be the founder of Macy's?
Because you owe somebody a ton of money.
Who do you owe that much money to? You're the founder of Macy's. Like, Macy's hasn't really, like, back then, Macy's was still blooming.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, think about it, man. How did he make that money to get there? And I'm just hypothetically, like, you've heard stories where the foundation of somebody's wealth came from somewhere else. Like, you owed somebody $100,000 because they built their business, and now you're a billionaire, and they're like, yo, you owe me some money, and they're like, oh, I'll pay you the $100,000 back, and they're like, 100,000, bro, interest, motherfucker. And you're like, hold on, I don't want to owe you all that. Come up with some wild, crazy, cockamamie scheme, and then you know the ship is gonna go down. Yeah, go ahead and step on that ship for me, bro. I'll pay you 50 grand. Oh, cool, no problem. All I gotta do is pretend to be you.
Possible. It's possible.
It is
With that
possible.
theory, I also need to ask, what shape do you think the world is?
Oh, it's round. It's round. It's like I was in the Navy for 10 years, bro. Like, it's round. I don't.
You could have been going
I
around in
understand.
circles.
I understand math. I know
Kinda
how.
oblong in some spots, and yeah,
Exactly. Right. It's
not
round.
perfect
Like,
sphere,
come on,
but
man.
it's mostly round.
It's mostly round.
Yeah, it's really weird to talk to flat earthers. It's like, have you seen like the Red Bull space jump? Have you seen like videos of rockets flying into? Oh, they're all fake.
It was all fake.
What? I'm sorry.
My favorite is when a flat earther goes, people all around the world know that the world is flat. And you go, wait, I'm sorry.
All
What did you say?
around the
Not
world.
around, not around the world, around the world.
Around.
No,
Not
I
around.
think one of my favorite things dealing with flat earthers is I watched a documentary. Max, I'm not sure, but you know, whole 2 hour long about all these different flat earthers and what they go through and whatnot. And like in the very
What they go
last few
through.
minutes, well, like some lady, like her kid stopped talking to her and she lost like multiple marriages because she's a hardcore flat earther.
At that point, can't you just pretend? Like, at that
I know,
point,
right?
like why
I
lose
would
your
be
family?
being
Just
true to
pretend.
myself.
You could just
I don't
talk
know.
under your breath, be like, yeah, okay, fine, the world's round.
But the whole documentary ended, and they're like, "Okay, we're shooting this laser, like a super high powered laser, from like 50 miles apart, you know, or however long it was. Wasn't that long?
Yeah.
But, it's like, you know, we're raising it up 25 feet in the air, or however much. It should hit like the same spot, and like the last few seconds, like we're not getting anything. We're not getting anything. Hey, raise up your target, and they raise it up, and then the laser hits, which.
Ta-da.
It's not flat. Not flat.
It's not flat. It's not flat. But then they'll come back with new logic and they'll say, well, maybe the Earth's gravitational pull has some effect on. Shut the fuck up.
So
on light photons, yeah.
Yes.
all I was going to say is all I've got written down for that is after a solar eclipse in August, a number of flat Earth conspiracists or flat earthers took to the internet to disprove the spherical shape of the planet. The theory is experiencing a modern day resurgence with flat earther YouTube channels and subreddits like Flat Earth flourishing with thousands of members online. Thousands of members. You know what I almost think it is? I almost think it's like cult mentality. Like, people want to belong to something, so they just like, I don't know, everybody wants to believe in something, and I think some people just jump on some crazy things.
I've never seen the curve of the Earth. Let's jump at it.
I mean, I've really only lived on the East Coast of the United States for most of my life, but I mean, I just can't imagine the Earth is flat. I don't really have scientific evidence personally to add to that, except for Shawn was in the Navy and he's been around the world. But and Rob's lived other places, so he's probably been around the world.
Yep. Yep.
I have not been, so I'm going to take the word of my comrades here.
Almost the complete opposite side of the globe.
Yeah.
So, it's a giant flat surface, and we're here, and you went there.
So here's my question to flat earthers. So if it's flat, right, and we're up here, who's down here?
That's just dirt, dude. I don't know. Rocks?
What's down here?
Do rocks go to infinity?
Yeah. Like
what's on the other side?
Like, are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me that there are? Is there another group of flat earthers on this side too? and then, if we're going to go with it being flat, right? Check this out. If it's flat, how thick is it?
Well, see, now you're getting into lasagna Earth.
I don't know. When he said thick, I was just thinking other things, but. See, my thing is that okay, so my logical and common sense here would be, how come nobody's found the end of it yet? How come there realistically hasn't been anybody that's been to the end of it? And if you do get to the end of it, does gravity hold you down so you can walk around the side?
No, it fell off.
It just fell off.
This fell off.
Like Amelia Earhart, that's where she disappeared. She just went to the
end. There you go.
And the plane just fell. Fell to where? Where would the plane fall to? Like, it'd just be floating in space? Or is space not real? I don't know. At this point, I don't even know.
Actually eaten by space crabs.
Space what?
Not coconut crabs. She was eaten by space crabs, not coconut crabs.
And I would never want to see a space crab. That sounds terrifying.
That would be terrifying.
Space crabs. It's funny you should mention that, because I just started watching Deadliest Catch, man.
The show is pretty intense.
It's actually not bad. It's really, really, really good for like one of those shows you can throw on for background noise. You can walk away from it, come back. You really didn't miss anything. They're still crabbing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good show for that reason.
Hell yeah.
You're like, oh man, what did I miss? Oh, they got more crabs. Okay. You don't really feel so bad about needing to use the bathroom or going to get yourself a snack.
Nope, because you're not going to miss. I'm just saying.
So, moving on from flat Earth, because I'm pretty sure we've covered that. The moon landing.
Oh, I knew this one was coming.
Biggest. It's the biggest.
It had to come. It had to come.
It had to.
And this one actually does have a correlation with horror movies or movies in general, because a lot of the conspiracies that I've heard of, Kubrick was behind the whole thing. Because he used his 2001 Space Oddity technology to make the moon landing look legit.
Look legit, yeah.
So, what I've got on that is the flag moving in the wind, no stars in the sky whatsoever, the misaligned shadows. These have all been points made by conspiracy theory that Neil Armstrong didn't take the first leap for mankind on the moon in 1969. For years, conspiracists have argued that NASA staged the landing and that the secret has been protected by the CIA ever since.
There's one that I saw where, so you know how they zoomed in on the footprint that's left on the moon? And then somebody else took a picture. They showed another picture where they showed when he came back, and his suit is in the museum. Well, the bottom of the boot on the suit was flat, but the boot print that they showed on the moon had little ridges in it. And the conspiracy theorists went ballistic and was like, see, we told you it was fake. It was a lie. What they didn't realize was the suit that's in the museum, the reason it's flat is because they wear two sets of boots. That boot goes inside the other boot that has the ridges on it.
That's
and see, that's why it frustrates me sometimes when people like, oh, I know I'm right, but they never take into consideration they lack the imaginative creativity to realize, but what if you're wrong? Like, it's the only way that I try.
But I've seen it. I saw it.
And you know what's frightening about that is that, like, we've even dispelled the fact that fingerprints are not unique, that people's facial structures are not unique, and eyewitness testimony sucks ass, and that really the lie detector test is not 100%, but yet we still use the
Yeah.
Yep.
It's basically building your case to try to convince people beyond a reasonable doubt, I guess. But it's
It's
I don't know if
almost
you guys
impossible now.
I don't know if you guys ever heard the story, and I wish I had it better prepared for this show, and I don't. I don't have names or anything, but this is a very well-known story. I've heard it actually on a couple of different YouTube channels because I listen to YouTube channels all the time on my way to work and everything. But there's actually this guy that was in jail. He got put in jail, and everybody started coming up to him and was like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" and things like this. And the guy's like, "Dude, I don't know you. Like, why are you talking to me? Like, what's going on?"
I remember this story. Yeah.
Keep going.
Everybody's heard this story. It's a real story. You can look it up. This is true. And the guy's in there, and he's like, "Why is everybody acting this way towards me and everything?" And come to find out, one day in the cafeteria, he looks over and sees himself sitting at another table. There's a guy that looks exactly like him, and he was put in jail because of eyewitness testimony.
I've got one here that happened not too long too.
But it turns out that the guy in there looked exactly like him and committed the crime.
Wasn't the other guy like behind the counter as like an employee of the cafeteria or something?
Oh, I don't remember the detail of that. I just remember that the man saw. I've heard the story a couple times. I don't remember that detail per se, but we've all heard the story. It's out there.
But I think there's two of the stories because, like, I'm looking at one right now. I just looked it up. It's on CNN. And it says this guy spent 17 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. And this happened in 2018. They released him and had to give him $1.1 million.
Well, that also happened to, you ever see the movie The Hurricane with Denzel Washington?
Yep.
It happened to Reuben the Hurricane Carter. He did the same thing. And in that case, it was so tragic because the guy's life was literally thrown away.
Destroyed.
I mean, he was an up and comer, man. He might have been the champion, of boxing.
Yep.
And he did all that time based off of basically eyewitness testimony and racism.
That's it.
The guy spent his the best years of his life in jail, didn't even commit the crime, and that's sad as hell to me that things like that happen.
Yep.
But what we're really talking about here is the moon landing. And
the die-hard moonlanders are crazy. I mean, they're even making a movie. I think it's coming out in like the next month of them faking the moon landing, which is just going to reinvigorate the conspiracy.
They already have one.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
See, my thing is this, and this is my logic and common sense behind the moon landing, is I have never once heard anybody come forward and that it's been confirmed that anybody said that was involved with the whole thing, there's any kind of malfeasance or that it was fake. And you may be like, oh, the CIA covered it up. But the thing is, though, is that all the time, these guys that are involved with these conspiracies have to get it off their chest on their deathbed. You're telling me that nobody involved with that, and there had to be, in order to fake that thing, there had to be hundreds of people involved, probably. You know what I'm saying? Just like in order for the real thing to happen, there's probably hundreds of people involved. And you're not telling me that one person, even the guy that got everybody their coffee, not one person, not even that guy was like, yeah, man, I was there. It was fake.
Yeah. I haven't even heard somebody lie about it.
One of my favorite stories is Buzz Aldrin was being interviewed by a conspiracy theorist, and was like, hey, what do you think about the moon landing being fake? And he said, it's not. And then they aggressively were instigating him, and he just turned around and just socked him in the face. Love it.
Nice. They deserve it.
So I'm just like, come on. We made it to the moon, fucker.
I was there.
I was there. And that thing, I mean, I was reading something about that earlier because I was sitting around earlier kind of doing a little bit of research on this, and a lot of people say that it's the misaligned shadows. But I mean, the misaligned shadows, that happens all the time. That actually is based on where you're standing compared to something else where the sun is.
Right.
You could take a picture of anybody on Earth, and if the sun was the source of light on the moon, then that's not even evidence. That doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
I mean,
I just looked at that too. Hold on. I just saw that where they talked about how the shadows were misaligned, and they were like, that doesn't make any sense. Conspiracy theory one: the shadows are misaligned. Take a look at the image below. Blah blah blah. They're not parallel. Well, no. This is the surface of the moon, but we can reproduce this effect anytime we want on Earth. You have all seen the phenomenon yourself, where because of perspective, parallel lines appear to be non-parallel. So that's the reason why, like, you can't, like, people automatically just dispute it and say, oh, that doesn't happen anywhere else. And you're like, yeah, yes, it does. You can literally recreate it right here on Earth and do the exact same thing.
Yeah, everybody wanted to say that it was because of studio lights and lights from different directions and everything like that.
Right.
That was causing the mismatched shadows. But I mean, it's I don't know. I think that some of these things they're reaching, and I think that sometimes they I don't know. I think that sometimes it's a reach. And I mean, as far as the moving in the wind, I mean, we don't know what a flag is like on the moon. Like who knows what a flag does on the moon?
I mean, there's solar winds, but it doesn't really move at all.
It doesn't move anything at all. Yeah.
Yeah, like it shouldn't move, really. But that's why it's grayed out, and you don't even see the red, white, or blue now. It's just because of, well, there's no atmosphere, so it's just baking in solar radiation.
Right.
Yeah. I don't like. What is are they saying there is no wind?
No, it's saying that the flag moving in the wind. They're saying that that's the way that it was moving or whatever. But I mean, the thing is, though, is when you put something in the ground, if there's like zero gravity or whatever, I mean, like, isn't it going to kind of, it's going to kind of, you know, undulate, I guess, or move, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. In some kind of way. I don't know, man. It just, I think I think a lot of the stuff is a reach. I think some people, like I said earlier, want to believe in something. Yeah. And
well, then you said the stars. Like, what if the lenses back then just couldn't capture that small amount of light? Like,
right.
There's so many different counterpoints to all the aspects of faking the moon landing, and I personally don't see how they could have done that back in what, the 70s, whenever the moon landing actually happened.
70s. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. I do believe that they made it there.
Not to mention the fact that, like, where's the Russians on this? I mean, we had a giant race for being the first ones in the space race. So if we didn't actually go, don't you think the Russians would have stopped at nothing to prove that to the world? That
the Russians were winning the space race. They were 100% winning, and the only reason the space race ended is because we made it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that ended the space race.
And do you think that if
one has done much after that?
But if there was a doubt, do you think the Russians would have just sat back and been like, okay, like, we know you faked it, but whatever. Like, I mean, I think there would have been a bigger deal about it than that. That just, you know, I mean.
But, okay, so, like, this, and I'm not trying to create another conspiracy theory here, but.
No, you've been doing it all night, man. You're turning one into five every one we talk about.
Because here's what I'm wondering. With the amount of ridiculous opulence that we have now, where people are just spending a bunch of stupid money. You've got Elon Musk shooting one of the Teslas up into the sky. You got a dude who jumps on a Red Bull train and decides he wants to parachute out of the sky with one. Why haven't we gone back to the moon?
Actually, China wants to mine the moon. They're making plans for it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, we did it in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did it. But that's it. We did it, though. Like, why would we not explore?
Did it. Nobody else has done it.
They only had it once, just once, and it's been 50 years, and no one has gone back.
Well, I've heard this before, but I mean, as far as we're concerned, I don't know what everybody else is doing, but as far as we're concerned, why would we go back when we want to use our resources to? Like, we've already been there. We already have done that. Why aren't we? You know, we'd use our resources for other ventures.
But wouldn't you think, like,
experimentation for shit that's up there we don't know about?
I want to go to the moon too.
Yeah, I mean, we had jackasses that wanted to go down the Titanic. Thank you. That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
I feel like you guys are talking yourselves into believing that it's fake.
No, I believe it. I wholeheartedly believe it was real. I'm just wondering how come, like, if it was real, if it was so real to them, why didn't they do it again? We have much better technology. You have plenty of things that you learn from. And you can't tell me based on how much it cost to fly to the moon before, You can't do that again.
Maybe it's fake.
I say
Anyway.
fuck it. We can build a rocket in your spot.
Yeah, I don't have any money to build a rocket, much less a multi-billion dollar rocket.
You had a guy build a submarine with a joystick, bro. Come on, man. We can do this. What are you talking about?
But then again, wasn't there that movie? What was that movie where the guy was building a rocket? You guys remember that? It was like an old guy building a rocket in a farm. I think it was Billy Bob Thornton.
Ooh, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, he was like building his own rocket on a farm, and like everybody thought he was crazy as hell.
Yeah.
Astronaut farmer. Is that it? Something like that? I don't know. Sean's about to find out. While Sean's finding out, we'll come back to that.
The astronaut farmer.
Wow, look at that. Boom! Was it Billy Bob Thornton?
It was. Yeah.
Boom!
It was.
I still got it, guys. I still got it.
Came out in 2006. Yep.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I remember that. I mean, I don't remember enough to like sit here and give you the details, but I remember enough to know that Billy Bob Thornton was in it. It was about a space farmer.
Well, you nailed it and you got the name right and everything.
So let's go ahead. You know what? We got a couple of other like big real ones, but like I want to jump into a couple of crazy ones here real quick. What do you guys think?
Why not?
Well, do you think birds are real?
I've got one
surveillance drones.
Oh Jesus! I've got one right here above the Earth is flat that I think we should talk about because the title sounds really funny. Michelle Obama is a man, and he/she murdered Joan Rivers.
Oh Jesus!
InfoWars' Alex Jones came up with this theory in 2006 after
oh my God,
Michelle Obama was a transgender woman. The Obamas had her assassinated.
Oh my God! Wow. No. I got nothing for that one. Like, why?
All you had to say was Alex Jones, and just like,
right, and that's what got me right there. Like,
yeah. You don't even have to say anything
the next
at that
conspiracy
point.
theory talking like the frogs are turning us gay. Like,
yeah.
Look, man, I could not go through the show without bringing up some of these crazy ones. I'm sorry, but
oh my God, right.
I mean,
like here's my thing.
Just bring up info.
Why do you think she's right? Like, why do you think she's a man? Like realistically, just because you don't find her attractive, that doesn't automatically make her a man. Like, come on, bro. Really?
Wait. Are you telling me that everybody that I'm not attracted to isn't a man?
No.
Oh, wow.
I've
been doing it wrong for years.
That is not how anatomy works. Anatomy doesn't change based on opinion. That's not how it works.
If that was the case, Shawn, you'd be a woman. So, anyway.
Hey, sorry. Oh man, I'm here, bro.
So, you know what I just came across though in my notes is the Titanic didn't actually sink.
Oh.
This tragic accident has been the topic of many conspiracy theories over the years.
Yeah.
What?
I was gonna say, is it something along the lines of it actually wasn't the Titanic, like it was a different ship that sank?
The Olympic.
I heard that one before. Yeah. Thought that was dumb too.
But you know the thing is though, is that regardless of whether it was the Olympic or the Titanic, the truth is either way is that about 1,500 people died and a ship did crash, and so honestly, it doesn't even really matter. Quite
happened on the planet.
I mean, quite frankly, if it was the Olympic or the Titanic, I mean, it's still basically the same loss. Honestly, It's like, so I don't really know how that makes too much of a difference, except for maybe to. Wow, I just turned this page and it literally says Amelia Earhart was eaten by crabs.
Come on, bro.
I mean, she was lost in the Pacific. Have you seen coconut crabs? They do eat anything and everything, and they're kind of terrifying.
She was eaten by 3-foot-long coconut crabs, though. on an
Yeah,
island.
coconut crabs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're terrifying.
Giant crabs.
Well, if it's if it's on the sheet of paper that I got off the internet here, it's got to be true. So good job, Rob.
Who knows? It. That's why I brought it up. It's yeah, it's a wild story. No one knows what happened to her, but if she did crash and she survived, she's probably eaten by coconut crabs. No one's found her remains.
So I just did a really quick look. Apparently, the Titanic and the Olympic were sister ships.
Yep.
However, historians agree it's almost impossible for them to have done it because the Olympic was damaged in 1911, the Titanic sank in 1912, and then the Olympic got repaired based on what happened to the Titanic, and then they set it back to sea.
There it is.
In the back.
And continued to use it for 24 years before they decided to retire it in 1935. And let's look at it this way. What really makes the name of the ship? They're identical.
What you painted on the side. Yep.
So quick story, funny thing. We used to do war games in the military. And I was on a destroyer, and one of the games was we had two different battle groups. So you had a set of destroyers, cruisers, frigates, and a aircraft carrier. And on the other side, you had the same number of people. The game was you would get close enough to the aircraft carrier, and then you would radio in on a short range radio to say, "Hey, we're close enough. We launched a missile on you. We got you." Well, my captain like to skirt the rules because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? But one of the rules that wasn't on there, he decided to sneak in an idea. So sure enough, we got right up next to the carrier. They didn't know who we were. They thought we were part of their battle group, and we radioed over. The admiral was pissed. He was like, "How is that your ship?" I was on DD 988, right? But they had, I told you they had the exact same types of ships on both sides. They had a destroyer on their team, DD 987. So while we were out to sea, he literally had guys hang over the side of the ship and repaint the hull number 987. So when they saw us pull up next to them, they looked with binoculars and was like, "Well, it says 987, it must be them."
Yeah.
And all he did was change the whole number.
I mean,
when they say, "Oh, well,
that's actually awesome. I love that.
It wasn't the Titanic; it was the Olympic." It's like, okay, so you just switched the titles on the exactly identical vehicles. What's the point?
Okay, but first of all, it's not
like a ship had a VIN number.
Okay, but in your case, yes, you rode up and you fooled them with a number. But in the case of the Titanic, you're talking about what did they do? Did they like the Titanic probably had the Titanic written all over that ship, all over the life preservers, all over the friggin' menus, all over everywhere. So somebody went through and literally got rid of all of that crap.
Thank you. Because then keep in mind, if they had sister ships, right? That means you would have had to do that to both ships. Why would you do that?
It's a weird one.
Yeah, or you'd have to have somebody you'd have to crate everything up and transform it from one ship to the other.
Right.
I mean, to me, I don't know, man. That just sounds like a lot for it to not get out. And that's what a lot of these conspiracy theories, to me, that's the issue with a lot of these things, is that there's so many people involved or would have to be involved in these things, that how did nobody actually that was involved with it, an official, somebody we could actually trust, come out and say, yes, we did this, or this happened, or whatever. I mean, you don't ever have those testimonies, man. You don't ever have real people involved with these things coming out and saying that. And there's no way in hell that you could have a conspiracy that involves hundreds of people and nobody's going to say something. It's impossible. Yeah. We as human beings, somebody would want that fame. Somebody would want that recognition. Somebody would want to be the guy that blew up the whole Titanic conspiracy because he was there trading out the napkins. I mean, somebody would want to do that. I mean, I don't know. I just don't buy it. Because it's not going to be the people, it's not going to be the rich people making the conspiracies up. If we were to believe that, it's not going to be the presidents and the rich people and the wealthy and everybody that's going to be doing these things. They're going to have workers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. And my thing is, like, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Like, why would you do all that work?
wouldn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
for what reason?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
I love
what are
that.
you gaining from it? I don't get it.
I don't really understand what you would gain from that either. And and it's like back to the moon, not to, because we do want to move forward and not focus on one or two things here, I would think, but it's like the moon thing. I mean, how big of a production would that have to be? I don't know how you could make that secret enough that it wouldn't get out. Something like that.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
But
I
mean,
mean,
also, what, like 100 years ago? And
Right.
everyone that was a part of it has passed. Like,
That's fact.
somebody on their deathbed would have been like, I just got to get this off my chest. Somebody would have. Like,
Or
whether it be a
written it in
stagehand.
a letter or had some type of evidence or something.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it.
I don't
Don't
even know
buy
if I don't even know if Kubrick would have his life end without taking credit for it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if he was the
I agree.
one involved,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am the greatest director ever. I think the moon landing.
So here's my question, though, is getting back to a little bit of more local conspiracy, local meaning like the United States.
All right.
First of all, just what is your guys' opinion on the government? Do you think the government has done a bunch of crazy stuff that they've covered up and not told us about and so on and so forth?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
For sure.
But
For sure.
but here's the thing, and this as somebody who was a government official, or as a part of the government machine, I think people give them more credit, like, oh, they did this like master plan to make this thing. No, I think they did a bunch of dumb sheer stupidity and then tried to cover it up after the fact. Like, I'm sure there's a village somewhere that they wiped off the planet by oopsies.
I absolutely agree with you. I was actually going to say the same thing. I do think that sometimes we give them more credit than they might deserve, or I don't think they're behind as much as we think they are. I don't think that I don't know. I really do think that sometimes I don't know. I guess you just said it best. I think we give them too much credit. I mean, we're making them responsible for everything, and it's like, realistically, half of the crap, why would they do it?
Yeah.
And the other half of the crap, it's like, I don't know.
I remember there was one time, like, little stupid shit, like, I think they'll do stuff out of opulence. Like, I remember one time we had just pulled back in. We hadn't been home but like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then they were like, we got to go back out, and I'm like, for what? They're like, we got to go down to Miami, and I was like, well, that's cool that we're going to Miami, but like, I just got back to see my family. Well, it turns out we get down to Miami, we park, and it's nice, it's warm, we're all having a great time. We were there for like, I think 4 or 5 days, but we came down there because the general wanted to have his birthday party on a Navy ship. That's it. So I want you to tell me how many millions of dollars went into you moving 453 people onto a ship, their families, disrupting everybody, just so you could have a birthday party on a ship? How many times do you think stupid like that happens?
Probably quite often.
All the time.
Just because they could.
And that's a lot of the stuff too, is just because they can. I mean, I was just talking to somebody the other day about CEO of Starbucks or founder of Starbucks. He, years ago or whatever, his pay for the year or whatever went up $100 million. And then all of a sudden there's like issues and things like that,
Holy cow.
We have to charge more and we got to pay less.
But the thing is, though, is it's like, I think a lot of stuff comes down to like greedy people just can't. You know what I'm saying? Some of the rich just can. And I was saying the other day, you know what I think the thing is that I personally, and it doesn't happen often, but I personally love somebody that owns something. I love it when somebody does something and they're just like, yeah, I did it because I could. Rather than making up all these excuses and making up,
just come out and say it.
And I wish that more people were like that. I wish the government was more like that. I wish that the wealthy were more like that. I wish that when they did stupid stuff out of greed or selfishness or whatever, I kind of wish that they would just be like, yeah, I did it because I can. And
if I don't do it, somebody else will anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, own it. you're a rich, greedy guy, and you wanted to, do the thing. So just say you want to do the thing. I mean, I would respect you more for it, whether it was right or wrong. I mean, fact of the matter is, I don't know. And I mean, that's like, I don't know. That's kind of one thing I got to say, about our current situation. And once again, I really don't take sides. I'm really not political like that. But I do see, like, with a lot of the stuff that happens, I don't know if it's because he's too stupid or because he's too arrogant, but it does seem like Trump owns a lot of his stupid stuff. It seems like he's just kind of like, yup, I did that, or that's the way I am, or something. And I don't know. I at least find it comical. I don't know if anybody else does, but I at least find all these things comical. Like, what's going on in the world to me, I just sit back and laugh sometimes. Look at our options. Look at what's going on in the world. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get on some kind of,
Not talking about politics. We're talking about
here.
But you know what weirds me out about that is conspiracy theory for you. That's what leads me to believe it has nothing to do with who the president is. Like, think about the machine of the government that is the government. The president is nothing more than a figurehead.
Yeah.
Like, who goes out and actually votes for the other elected officials that are in your local government that affect you more on your everyday to day than the president? Nobody cares about anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I think they're just a figurehead. Right. I think it's a little bit of that like sleight of hand kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look at the president over here while we're doing shit over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's somebody else doing the tap dancing.
And the honest to God truth is, in my opinion, though, is I think that even that might be giving them a little too much credit, because I don't know necessarily if I believe that I don't know if I necessarily believe that there is like the wealthy 1% sitting around a boardroom or whatever. But I do think that that's almost a metaphor for what I actually think goes on. And I just think that that's, whoever has the most money lobbying wise typically gets what they want.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if like Bill Gates and Elon Musk are like sitting in a room deciding what happens in the world. I don't know if I really believe that, but I do kind of believe that, money talks, and
yeah. I realistically think that they do sit around a room some days, but I think they spend so much time in a dick measuring contest that they're not working together.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the decisions that are made are just so they can fuck with each other. And we just happen to be the pawns on the board. That's all.
Yeah, especially the tech guys. The tech guys all just want to tech each other and stuff. They're not together on. I don't think so, at least. But let's move to a happier subject here. I've got one here titled "Canada Tried to Develop Gaydar." So the conspiracy is the Canada government was so paranoid about homosexuality that it developed a gaydar machine. I got what's written here as the truth. This one has like the truth, if you guys want to hear that. Okay. It really happened. It really happened, this says. In the 1960s, the government hired a university professor to develop a way to detect homosexuality in federal employees. He came up with a machine that measured pupil dilation in response to same-sex erotic imagery. The Canadian government used it to exclude or fire more than 400 men from civil service.
I mean, I wouldn't say that that's gaydar. I mean, that's like...
So that part doesn't matter.
Oppression technology.
I'm so embarrassed to say that might be true.
Yeah.
Oh, it says it's true. I mean, I'm not saying that everything is true that you pick up here, but, this particular group of things I have is, they've got the truth here, and that's what was put down. That
was kind of worded weird with, Canada created gaydar. It's like, well, if someone does a study on fruits and all they're doing is testing, like tomatoes, tomato is a fruit. So, like it's totally misleading.
Did you subconsciously pick fruits because it was gaydar?
Oh, I picked the best one. It wasn't subconscious. That's brain power, baby.
Shawn, did you pick that up? he's like, if you're testing fruits, I was like, oh my God, man, that sounds wrong. You can't say that.
Grazing the surface, taking shots at people and stuff.
It's like it's so misleading.
You meant literal fruit, though.
Yes.
Not fruity, but fruit. Yeah, I got you. I see what you did there. That sleight of hand there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there.
I was like, damn, Rob, that's
sleight of hand.
I was like, damn, Rob, I don't know if you should be saying that, but you actually meant
Right.
fruits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes it okay.
Like tomatoes.
Yeah. Like
Wow, man.
So 400 people got fired because of the way that their pupils dilated to same-sex erotic imagery.
Yeah. Why would they do that with
how was any different
horses
than
or something?
Right.
But how do you prove it wrong, though? Like, what do you do? Like, bring a lady into the courthouse and bend her over and have your way to be like, look, I'm straight. I would almost say I believe it because it's the 60s, and the 60s was a weird time, and that was around the time, shortly after that, Kinsey came out, and Kinsey was doing all of his, reporting, and I don't know if you guys know Alfred Kinsey or not, but he was the guy that wrote all of the books on sexuality and everything, and kind of got in the psychology of sexuality. And I mean, before that, people really didn't know anything, and if you were gay at a certain point in history, it's like you were basically like the devil, like you were
ostracized immediately. Yeah,
or a communist or something. I mean, it's like people used to get blacklisted and fired and everything. I mean, it's, kind of it's different, but the same as what's happening now with everybody being canceled. Just back then, it was because people were
right
because they're gay or communists or they're.
At least now we're doing it because people are pedophiles and rapists. I mean, so we're on the right path, I think.
Right. And leaving people alone for their sexuality because it's none of our business. You know what I'm saying? Like, God forbid. Like, just to imagine that people would actually take the time to create a machine to do some stupid shit like that. Because here's my next question: what if they're bisexual? Does the machine still go off? Does that matter? Like, shut up.
Probably because you'd be excited, so the pupil dilation would probably But I mean, I don't really.
But you're bisexual, so.
I don't know what was going on in the 60s, though. I don't know if if you were gay, it would make me gay if I was around you. I don't really know what the thought process was there. Like, wow, I've been around Bob all week. I'm feeling rather gay. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
You got to ask the question, too, because, like, I've had some parents tell me, like, my son came in and told me, not my son, but, like, they would say, my son came in and told me he thought he was gay. And they were like, well, how do you know you're gay? He said, well, isn't gay when you spend most of your time around your guy friends, people of the same sex? And they're like, no. Do you want to sleep with your best friend? And they'd be like, no, ew. Well, then you're not gay. So I think a lot of times some of the problem also falls into how it's defined. Because some people don't even know. They think it's just an attraction, but it's not. It's more than that.
But that's, and that's funny that you should mention that, or I agree with that in a sense, because in a way, isn't that even friendship? I mean, isn't being friends with somebody you are attracted to them a certain way?
Exactly.
There's something about that person that appeals to you. It may not be a sexual feeling. It may not be an erotic feeling, but I mean, you're still attracted to the people around you.
I want to spend all my time with this person who's the same gender as me.
Yeah. And I mean, I can say firsthand that a friend that we all had that passed, I spent all my time with him. I was very, very, I would say that as a human being, I was incredibly attracted to that man. I wanted to spend all my time with him. He, we got along really well and we had a lot in common, and it made me happy to be in his presence.
Exactly.
I can't say as I ever, felt erotic feelings for him, but the point I was getting at is the attraction. I'm saying that obviously people that you want to spend a lot of your time with, there's going to be some sort of attraction.
Yep, that's true. And again, that falls into that category of, okay, so how do you define attraction? How do you quantify the appropriate level of attraction to say where you are on the spectrum? Like, come on, man.
I think that's why a lot of people are confused also, is because I think that people aren't really sure what, and it's almost more weird the way that we're also distant from each other these days, even though we're more connected with technology, but less connected physically. I mean, I think some people don't even know what they're attracted to, quite frankly.
Oh, and I do like that Shawn said the spectrum, and most people don't even think of it as a spectrum. They're just like, it's one or the other.
Which one you picking here?
Yeah.
Which, if you actually go
because
back
they
to,
don't understand it themselves.
which if you
Right.
actually go back to Kinsey's theories, Kinsey had a scale, and the scale was 1 to 10, let's say, and let's say 10 is you're totally straight and 1 is you're totally gay. Kinsey, or one of the theories is that nobody is a 10 or a 1. Everybody's somewhere in there.
In between.
Now that doesn't mean that you have sex with the same sex, or that you're having sex with both sexes. All that means is that it kind of was more on a scale of attractability, and more on a scale of
Right.
I mean, you may be like a 2, which would probably make you pretty, one side or the other, or a 9. But the point is, though, is that nobody was a 1 or a 10. Nobody is 100% straight or gay, and I tend to believe that. I think there was a lot behind that theory that I could buy into.
Yeah.
That's true.
So gaydar,
Gator.
is it real?
I don't know, man. I guess they have to keep testing
Real
fruits
or
to
not?
find out.
I mean, it falls into the same category of what we were talking about with regard to like lie detector tests and stuff like that, right? Like it's right on the edge, so it's the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like they just made Blade Runner because of this conspiracy theory. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just
Yeah.
make a machine to tell if you're gay, or make a machine to tell if you're a robot or a human.
Right.
I would rather have a machine that tells me if somebody's a good or a bad person somehow. I mean, let's make a machine that gives us some kind of value, like,
Right.
I don't know, shows us how much of a sociopath somebody is. Does this person actually care about you, or something like that?
And
Um,
that's how they test
isn't that-
sociopaths, though.
Hmm?
They test sociopaths like that, I thought. Like sociopaths and
With a
psychopaths
machine?
tested. Yeah.
They have a
Well,
machine
not necessarily
now?
a machine, but something similar where it checks if your pupils are dilated and how your body reacts to certain images. Yeah.
See, because I was thinking that, I don't know how far maybe that's come or gone or whatever. I know that they kind of did something similar to that in Clockwork Orange, not necessarily with the pupils, but the they had them sitting in front of the screen with the eyes open, and there's a couple
Oh.
other they did that kind of thing too, where they
Yeah.
I think
That's
I'm
more
going out a
brainwashing.
different way here. Like, it wasn't looking at their eyes to see if they're psychopaths, but it was like the reprogramming.
Yeah, it's reprogramming instead of measuring their base physical response.
Wow.
I guess what I was getting at is one's fairly close to the other, so maybe I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying about that. I'm going to move on. Hey, Shawn, when you spent a lot of time with Daniel Radcliffe or was around him, did you guys ever end up talking about J.K. Rowling at all? Has he ever met J.K. Rowling? Did he tell you that? Do you know that? Is there
There was like, and I only got to spend like a brief amount of time with him when we were on set, and we got to chit chat a little bit. If I'm not, we didn't get to spend a whole lot of time talking about J.K., but I know for a fact he had, spent some quality time with J.K. Rowling, but he didn't say too much about her.
Because I've got one here that says J.K. Rowling doesn't actually exist.
Oh, I got a better conspiracy theory than that about
So
her.
let me give you this real quick. So in 2005, Norwegian filmmaker Nina Grunfeld argued that the Harry Potter series had been created by an entire industry of writers, and that the woman known as J.K. Rowling was only a front. Is it possible that a person can write 6 thick books that are translated into 55 languages and sell more than 250 million copies in less than 10 years? Grunfeld asked.
Yes.
Yeah, they haven't. I don't know.
I would
Yeah.
think
I don't.
I mean, why couldn't you? I mean, if somebody 10 years is a long time. If you sat down every day for a few months and just wrote, and it's 6, you're talking about 6 books in 10 years. Like, I think that's completely reasonable.
I mean, I used to read Wheel of Time books, and those books are 1,000 pages each. They're the biggest books that's ever existed.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, they come out with one every few
And why do we say like she physically sat down and wrote it with like a quill and some ink off the side? Like she could have dictated it to a machine and wrote it out. Like for real, she could have just sat there and rattled off some stuff and then had her writers go back and revise it, bring it back to her, read it to her while she's eating bonbons and grapes. Like, come on, man. Like we're saying that stuff like it's out of the realm of possibility. Of course she could write those books. Like, be for real. Now,
Not to
do
mention
people
the
have
fact.
studios? Yeah, of course.
I was going to say, not to mention the fact that a lot of people do have help writing books. I mean, there is usually people have assistants or have people that help you edit it, or may even, you know, help
you always
write
have
it at
editors.
times.
You have co-writers a lot of times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think she had a co-writer on the book, or at least she wasn't announcing it. I've never heard this one was by J.K. Rowling and, you know, Billy.
Oh, God. She writes under a man's name. It's like Robert something. Only reason I know that is because.
So we can't even attribute just the ones that we do know that are marked J.K. Rowling to just her. We got to attribute all the male ones too that are attributed to her.
Yes. Well,
There's
so
no way
of course she could have done it.
So that brings me to my conspiracy theory about J.K. Rowling, which is the one I'm bringing up. It's not that I believe it, but
I don't know if I believe anything we brought up tonight, just so we know.
The fact that she writes under a man made me think of this, because she's excessively transphobic, and people had noticed that she has black mold in her home from her posting on social media and whatnot. And it's basically being said that the reason she is transphobic is because of a very bad black mold infestation in her house.
Oh, that's wild.
Because
so
when you're around this certain type of mold, it does make you more, emotional, more reactive, and all these other things. Which I've been around black mold. It messed me up. I had like an eye infection because I walked into a room, the little closet where the AC was, and like it messed me up. So like, I don't know. It's an interesting.
I mean,
one.
it's possible. Stranger stuff has happened before in the past. I remember I was reading something somewhere recently, and I didn't know this, but like when they discovered that germs were killing people, like the guy was like, "We'll just have people wash their hands," and sure enough, it decreased the death toll in the hospital because they were doing, I think they were like doing morgue autopsies in one room and deliveries in the next room, and all the babies were dying and stuff like that, and they weren't washing their hands because they didn't know shit about germs.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who came up with that, they ended up putting his ass in prison. He died, and like all the doctors that were working with him were like, "Oh, you're a crazy man." They put him in an insane asylum. That man died thinking he was wrong, only for us to discover, oh shit, he was right. My bad.
Yeah, I feel like that is just an unfortunate side effect of like the dark ages of just the endless witch huntery that was happening in that specific time. And that's not to say that it's not happening now, because if you're on social media, you see a whole bunch of that witch huntery type stuff
all the time.
But
all the time. I think somehow
it was excessively bad back then.
Oh yeah, and I think that I thought, I'm not even gonna lie, I thought that the onset of social media would make it harder for you to find stuff, or like create a conspiracy theory because evidence would be available. But unfortunately, it made it 10 times worse because even on top of the fact that like it spreads so much faster, now you got deep fakes and AI and stuff that you can add into it too, where you got guys doing whole speeches. You can create brand new albums with different singers' voices.
It's wild because nowadays in year of our Lord 2024, we have the internet readily available in our pocket. We can look up anything, but you don't trust it. You get your phone, you look something up, and you don't believe it because you think it's fake news. And you can read and read and read, but because you trust one specific website or one specific article, it's the fact that we have free knowledge makes people stupid. And that, to me, is mind-boggling. Like,
and it blows my mind. It's like you would think the introduction of more information would have made it better, and it made it so much worse.
Wow.
Because it's all about how they digest the information.
Yeah, exactly. it's how they process it, but it's also like I feel like sometimes it's a hatred of the free information, and they feel like it needs to be controlled because it's tainting, and that is just as bad.
Right. That's wild.
But, yeah.
All right, so can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, you're back. Welcome back.
But literally, I got cut off right when Rob was about to tell us the conspiracy theory, so I didn't even hear any of that.
Oh well, I could go back over it, but we're
just talking about models.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just when I edit this, I'll find out about it then, I guess, because I don't know what happened. Here. I thought it was very interesting that we're talking about conspiracy theories, and all of a sudden my internet just shut off. I think they know. I think they know.
You got too far.
While we're shooting a show about conspiracy theories.
You got too far into the J.K. Rowling conspiracy theories.
Yeah, it was J.K. Rowling's people just shut me down. I went inside and made sure that nobody was messing with the internet connection. I was like, what just happened?
To say, man. They were like, hey, shut up, dude. Unplug.
You got too close to the truth.
So where are we at then? Should we move on with another one then, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how about an elite cohort of reptiles rule the earth and Justin Bieber is among them?
No.
No? Skip it?
You're talking about the Anunnaki?
Let's see. A public policy survey in 2016. A public policy survey in 2016 found that nearly 12 million people believe that an elite class of space-traveling lizards rule the Earth. Among these lizards, Justin Bieber, who was reported earlier this year shape-shifting mid-concert into a giant reptile with big scaly claws and a black stripe down its middle. Is there a YouTube video of that? Is that a thing? Can we see that?
That can't be a thing. Let me see. Justin Bieber reptile.
People always have their phones out.
Right.
If he turned into a reptile and we're not hearing about this, there's a problem with the world, because that is real news. That is real news.
Yeah.
Do you find it? Did you turn into a
reptile?
reptile?
I haven't found anything yet. Hold on. I haven't seen anything just yet.
Don, this is important, man.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure it's right. Justin Bieber's a reptile. Oh, wait a minute. Oh shit! There is actually a YouTube video, but I don't think it shows him as a reptile. Hold on.
Well, let me know if it does, because I'm going to need that link, because that's why.
It's gonna be part of an M. Night Shyamalan film. That's all.
Yeah. That is insane. Because there's got to be a video of that if it happened.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything.
Nope, he didn't turn into but it said that like thousands of people believed it or whatever. I mean, that can't be wrong, right?
No.
Well, 12 million people believe it. Not thousands, 12 million.
That's insane.
I got nothing on that.
Well, if you guys got nothing on that,
numbers.
If you guys got nothing on that, then I am moving on to the Israeli government has a pack of evil GPS-equipped sharks that they use against their enemies.
Bro, what the?
After a series of shark attacks off the coast of Egypt in 2010, a South Sinai official blamed Israel's government. From there, theories spread online. Israel was accused of possessing a fleet of killer arrow-armed spy dolphins and a pack of sharks equipped with GPS systems that were sent to Egypt with an evil master plan.
Yeah, no, I don't even see a reason why. Like, why?
Did they have laser beams for eyes? That's the only way I'll allow that to exist. That's
with freaking laser beams.
Laser beams on their heads.
That's a good one. I've never heard that one before, so that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You guys have any theories on who killed JFK?
I do not. I mean,
than...
why couldn't it have been who they caught?
Oh, geez.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, that's the name. So the only weird thing about that is, I don't know. I don't really know much about the JFK shooting because I just kind of always, I don't know. I mean, honestly, if the
love it. There's
People
movies,
love it.
books. It's huge. It was the biggest thing that had happened for that generation.
but it was never really my thing. But Lee Harvey Oswald was shot like almost instantly, right? Like
Yeah.
by Jack somebody or other.
Yeah.
And that part was a little weird. It was kind of weird, like it was almost like they were covering up. But how are you covering something up if you shoot the guy that you're blaming if you get somebody else to shoot that guy?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, if I had Rob do something and then I had you shoot Rob, isn't it basically like, why didn't I just let Rob talk all this crazy and just be like, yeah, it's not true?
On the off chance that people will keep digging, it's kind of it's along the same lines of like, you know, dead men tell no tales kind of thing. So,
Okay.
you know, because like for instance,
Because
who
on
shot
his
him?
deathbed, he's gonna come out and say,
I didn't shoot him.
something like
Truth
that.
is, I didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
I'm not even that great of a shot. I don't even own a gun.
I don't know. It's seemed kind of I don't really know if it's convenient or not. Why did we want JFK dead? Does anybody know? Like, what was he doing that the government would want
Again,
to kill?
it's along that same lines I was telling you before. Like, it could be something that none of us even know about. Like, he might like, what if it was Marilyn Monroe's long lost lover or a high school sweetheart that was mad that her name was being smeared because he was sleeping with her and blah blah blah? Or what if it was Jackie Onassis's sweetheart that loved her and was mad because he hurt her feelings or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Or I even heard one where they said it was JFK's gay lover. Like, I've heard all types of weird stuff. No offense
Well, that was
to the, you know,
that was after the
LGBT community.
Well, that was after the 60s, so wouldn't we have known?
You would like to think so, unless they murdered him too.
Well, I mean, we probably wouldn't use the gator on the president, though, right?
I would hope not, but you know what?
I mean,
I'm
at
gonna
least,
say
if
this.
if they did, the results would not have been released to the public.
Exactly. But I honestly believe, like, because the conspiracy theory you said was that Canada created a gaydar, and I earnestly believe they did. Whether it was effective or not, no, I don't believe that. Did they create one? Yeah, I believe a country would do some dumb shit like that. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely,
They're
especially
blade running there. Or jade running. I don't know.
Right.
especially in the 60s. Like, I would definitely say that the 60s, that sounds probably fairly legit.
Right.
How about Disney created Frozen as a distraction? People have long discussed the conspiracy that Walt Disney used cryogenics technology to freeze himself when he died. Even though the Disney film or Disney family refutes the claims, however, a new theory is that the Walt Disney Company created Frozen as a way to hack Google's search algorithm and distract consumers from information about the late Walt Disney's possible frozen procedure.
All right. Only thing I got to say about those conspiracy theorists is they got to let it go.
They got a lot of what?
Yeah.
They got to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
So,
anymore. I don't even know the words. I'm just saying. At this point.
So first of all, that's kind of brilliant. I mean, honestly, creating like a movie so that when people Google it, it like pushes the stuff you don't want people to see down.
Yeah.
It also kind of, the reason I brought that up is because in general, I think a lot of times people say that, you know, the government comes up with these distractions or that, you know, things happen to kind of move our eyes away from other things that are going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's also possible that two things just kind of happen around the same time. That is possible as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
every
look at
day
the
it
whole Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial happening the same time as the whole Epstein trials.
Yeah.
And then we
Which
didn't hear
one did
anything
they
else
show?
about it.
Yeah.
But here's my thing, though. There's always pertinent news going on. It's just a matter of what news channel is making it a big deal. And it's not like they all get together and be like, okay, this is what we're reporting, y'all.
Yeah.
That's all they got to do. And if you get, and it doesn't take that many, it's like maybe what, 4 or 5 decent news stations that have global reach, and they just keep playing the same over and over again. It's like when radio stations play the same song over and over again, and they don't have to do it like 2 or 3 times, and then eventually, like the sheep will go, oh yeah, that's the song I want to hear, and then they'll keep requesting it, and then it keeps going in rotation. It's the same thing.
Yeah. But here's my thing, and I think this is going to be like one of the big things of the night of all these conspiracy theories, is that the government admitted during COVID that aliens exist. Pretty much, they admitted that there are UFOs, unidentified flying objects, things that they do not know what they are. And the government, in my opinion, should probably know what all things are. So,
didn't they say that aliens exist, not UAPs or UFOs? They acknowledged that aliens exist, correct? That was the thing.
I think what happened is they acknowledged that there was like unidentified objects, which to me says that there's aliens. So I took it as aliens.
I'm going. Here's where my issue is again. It depends on how you define certain things. Have you seen some of the weird that's underwater? I would call some of that alien. I'm just saying, like, it's a matter of how you define something. There are some humans that, had we not seen a news report on them, they look pretty alien too.
But let me ask you this. Let me finish this point, because I got a serious question to ask you guys about this whole conspiracy thing we've been discussing tonight.
All right.
If the government or the powers to be or whoever came out and said, J.K. Rowling doesn't exist, Walt Disney is frozen, Israel has sharks with GPS technology. Let's see, what else
we paid for it.
Let's see. JFK was. Let me finish though. I got a really big point I'm coming to here. Let me finish.
All right.
What if they said Bigfoot is real? What if they said that COVID-19 was constructed by the government? Whatever. Let's say all these things. Let's say Michelle Obama is a man. Let's say the government comes out and says all of these things. They've literally put a report out in Fox News, CNN, every news channel tomorrow night. Do you really think that the way that we are in society today and the way everybody is, that we'd even really give a shit?
I think the idiots would give a shit, yes.
Who's going to give a shit? Nobody gave a shit that there's aliens. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think we as a society right now are going to actually really do anything about any information that's given to us.
No. I think if they can legitimately prove it.
If it's pertinent to any recent events, then we will. That's the only time.
Right.
But even then, okay, so you say the idiots will, or you say the certain populations will. What are they going to do with it? Are they going to do anything worthwhile with it? They might care. They might bitch about it on the internet. They might say some things. There might be some arguments in the in the comment section of a few posts. But I mean, really, is anybody going to actually care? And is it going to matter the day after?
So I think what ends up happening is if they find out one of their theories is right, the government comes out and says, hey, this theory was correct. Y'all were telling the truth. The next feasible thing they're going to do is be like, ooh, if I was right about this, I must have been right about this, this, and this. And you'll be like, wait, you can't string those together. But of course they can. They're conspiracy theorists. That's what they do.
So nobody listens to them anyway. We think they're crazy.
Right. Right.
I disagree with you guys completely on the fact that I think that literally when they said that aliens existed, which that's not exactly what they said, but that's how I took it, and that's how most people took it. Nobody really even talked about that the next day.
No.
And if they did talk about it, it was like in such passing. It was like, oh yeah, I heard that. I mean, it's like, isn't that a big deal? Isn't that a big deal? I mean, like, that's big information.
I think it's only a big deal if it affected us, but it didn't. It's just,
but it does affect us.
We had so much else going on at the time, and I feel like most people believe in extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
But the government admitting to it, they've been hiding that shit from the beginning of time. Area 51 and all of those things, Roswell and things. but to actually admit it and like nobody's even talking about it, I honestly think they could tell us tomorrow that Joe Biden's been dead his whole presidency and nobody would really care. There's not going to be some kind of uprising. We're not going to get upset and
they're making a bunch
overthrow
of
the
jokes.
government.
Well, he did die, and he was replaced with a shape-shifting lizard of the Anunnaki.
Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber for president.
Justin Bieber is Joe Biden. Made a conspiracy theory. You heard it here first.
Right. But like, for instance, the one that the Michelle Obama is a man. How does that affect us?
How
does that affect us?
It doesn't affect us.
No.
Like let's just ride the crazy train for a minute. We find out, oh my God, she is actually a man. Okay, so now you found out that Obama was gay the whole time, or you find out that she's a transgender, or you like, okay, and you know what ends up happening? Then you have one party saying, oh, look, I told you they were trying to change us, and then everybody's going to consider her, some major figure. She's going to run for, office off of the LGBTQ community agenda, and then all of a sudden she's going to get shot, and then she'll be a martyr, and then we got a whole new storyline. Man, get the f out of here, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. You could literally hand them the truth on a platter and be like, look, here, see? And everybody be like, yeah, all right, whatever. Like when you say the government's been denying it for years, I think the government denied it for a point, and then they were like, man, let them believe what they want.
I mean,
yeah, well, that's and that's really how the government.
Different conspiracy theorists or like conspiracy theories. Like, look, they've tested steel beams, and jet fuel does not melt them.
Yeah.
Jet fuel burns at this specific temperature. It's scientifically impossible for it to melt. Like, there's certain things that are given as information, and people will just say, like, well, that they're lying. They're lying. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. And until I have empirical proof, it's not going to happen. And then same thing along the lines of what Jake said.
Even when empirical proof is given, they're just like, I don't believe that. That doesn't make any sense.
Until something else shows up, and then it's like, ooh, it's another shiny coin, and they go in that direction.
Ooh,
if anybody has ever talked to me about anything, and you guys have, we've had debates at great length, both of you, me with both of you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know that I'm not cemented on really anything, unless it's like my opinion on what my favorite horror movie is or what kind of beverage I like or something. I'm not cemented. I believe in the possibility of anything. And I'm one of those people where 99% of the time, I'm going to be like, that's really interesting. I might put some more thought into that or whatever. I'm not one to sit there and be like, this is the truth, because
right.
I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know, but that's what's happening on the internet a lot, though, is that people are literally picking a thing or a side or a platform, and they will not get off it no matter what you come at them with, no matter what kind of facts you have, no matter what kind of information you have. People are not willing to budge. And that part to me is crazy. It's crazy that there are people on this earth that literally won't even take a second to be like, you know what, let me mull that over a little bit, or let me try to find actual facts that argue that instead of.
I was wrong. Maybe I didn't know everything. Yeah.
No. But you know what, another piece of it, and it goes towards human psychology. In my mind, what I think it is it gives them purpose.
Yep. Ooh.
It literally gives them purpose. Like they become the center of attention, that when they walk into a party, like attention is like a drug, right? So when they walk into a party, people look at them and go, oh, there goes the flat earther, or that's the one who believes XYZ. I don't know his name or her name, but I know them for their belief, and that gives them some type of purpose, some type of reason for their existence. They don't have some major job, and even if they do, they feel like, I believe that a lot of the people who like hold so dear to those and make it such a big deal about something, that's their way of gaining some form of notoriety on this planet during their dash in order to feel like they belong to something. That's it.
But you could be the guy that always wears a Where's Waldo t-shirt. You could be the guy that always wears a silly hat. You could be the guy that wears shorts in the winter, no matter how cold it is. You could be, you could be so many things. There's so many ways to be an individual. And those are just some silly things I threw out there. there's so many ways to be an individual that, I mean, holding on to some kind of ridiculous, unfounded concept is just like beyond me. And you see on the internet all the time, people are like, "Oh, you don't check your facts. Like, you should read a book." And I know what I'm talking about. But the people are saying that they know what they're talking about, I don't see their bibliography attached to the comment. I mean,
there's no great counterpoint. It's just, oh, but you're wrong and I'm right.
Right.
Yeah. Because I've looked into it and I've read scholarly journals. Which ones? What scholarly journals have you read?
Right.
Where's your references? Where's your
Right.
Where did you find your information?
Right.
There's nothing. Oh no, I've looked into it. I saw it on InfoWars with Alex Jones.
And that's a little bit what I was trying to get at with, how is this connected to horror? And I think that it has to do with the society. I mean, They Live, for example, the movie They Live. We've discussed that multiple times on the show, and that's kind of around the same aspect of this government, basically telling us what to believe and putting the wool over our eyes, so to speak. And it's just, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that sometimes these things, this is part of the scary part to me. I mean, we've got people all over the world that do all kinds of things, and some people do have important jobs, and some of the beliefs that people have, it's like, what if you got on a plane, right? What if you got on a plane tomorrow and the pilot gives a little biography of himself, or a little autobiography, at the beginning of your flight, and says, "Hey, this is Jimmy Jones here, and I'll be flying you to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And just so you guys know, I'm a flat earther, and I believe that Michelle Obama is a man, and so on and so forth, and blah blah blah." I mean, like, I might be trying to get off that plane. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, and I went very mild there with some of these, but I mean,
there's some things you don't want to share at certain points in time.
No.
But then you have people that are like getting kicked out of government jobs because they, on their free time, drank some beers and may have acted up in public or something. I don't know. I mean, not even in necessarily a terrible way. I'm not saying that they were out there fighting people and stuff, but it's kind of interesting how we hold some things to such a standard, but not others, is I guess what I'm trying to, like, we don't regulate everything. We regulate certain things.
Right. And I think it's just a matter of what they feel the most comfortable with regulating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. It's very weird. And I totally agree. Like, it doesn't make sense that there's some things we lean so heavily into and other things we don't care about at all.
Yeah. And that's why these
stuff that we should care about.
Person to person.
Yeah. Like, the one that really bugged me, I remember when I watched Chernobyl, and if half the stuff they said in the show is true about what happened when Chernobyl happened, they basically said we could have lost the planet. Like, we could have started a chain reaction of fusion where we could have, like, blown off half of the planet. And somehow we were able to stop it because some people just, like, in their martyrdom went in and cleaned out the stuff that needed to be cleaned out. That's insane. Now, is it true? Most people seem to agree that it's true.
I mean, people have been saying about, like, the Large Hadron Collider, like the particle accelerator. It's like, if you do this, then it could just combine realities and all this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that can be said because any science that high up is hard to have any definitive barriers on it.
Right.
And dealing with massive radiation, like, no one had dealt with anything before Chernobyl at that scale. It's still, to this day, like, that area is just, it's a death trap. Yeah. Like, I saw this social media thing where these girls were in, like, this claw of a machine, and it's like, that's like the death claw. That's what they used to pick up all the radioactive material. And it's just two girls, and, like, people were going up to it with, like, a radiation meter and being like, this is going to kill those girls. They should not be alive.
Right.
Dead. But yeah, because we don't understand every single aspect of that science, doesn't mean we should, not take it into account. Or
Yeah, I totally agree.
believe in one specific way or the other. It's still unknown. Yes, it probably could have, but other unknown sciences and whatnot could have done just as much damaging things as well.
But I think the problem here,
black hole. I don't know.
But the problem here is that a lot of these things we're going at with common sense and logic, and that's where I think we're failing to realize that. I don't know. It's scary. You know what? I almost see it like this. I almost see it like there's going to be conspiracy theories that there's going to be, I don't know, nuclear holocaust, and half the people are going to believe it, and a third of the people are going to believe it, a third of the people aren't, and a third of the people aren't going to care. And then when the world explodes, I guess we'll know. I don't know. I think that's where we are.
They literally did a movie about that. Where, it was the one with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah, where they're talking about the world's going to end, and yeah.
And had proof, and nobody believed it, and then it actually happened, and then they were like, "Oh, we blew up the world, and it's too late."
I mean, I could honestly see something like that happening. I mean,
I feel like that's where we're at right now.
Right.
And it's crazy because honestly, the worst part about it all is that even if we went to idealism here, and I could say, hey, it would be great if this happened, I don't even know if I have an answer ideally about what to do to fix where we're at. And that's why I feel like this fits into the horror realm, because I feel like in ways we are living in a modern day horror in a sense. I mean, in the fact that nobody knows what to think, nobody knows what to believe. There's so many people on so many different sides, and some people are so far on each side that they're not willing to even hear anybody else anymore. And I mean, who knows? Who knows where we are with these things? And conspiracy theories really, in my opinion, kind of roll over into all of that. And that's where we are now. You know, it's just, who knows what to believe? Who knows what to believe?
I feel like we've gotten too far into it now. We're at the point of the chain reaction where it's already started, and there's no stopping it at this point. I realistically believe it's just going to progressively get worse.
And that's part of the thing, though, is that technology would be such a great thing if it wasn't only a device to use for greed. You know, if we use technology to actually make the world a better place, or use the money that some people have to make the world a better place instead of just using it for greed and what they can do because they can, I mean, we'd be in such a better place. You know,
I think we do use it for good, but the people who want to use it for evil so outweigh those who want to use it for good that it's always lopsided. It always will be. Like for instance, huge big government programs, right? There's plenty of them out there to help people, but then there's some idiot somewhere who has to put a name on a dotted line to move those funds around, and they got a gun to their head from somebody else who has a bunch of money, who owns a boathouse and wants to take you out drinking and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, all this bad stuff is happening in the background while they're showing you all this good stuff on the other end. To me, it's all a game sometimes. And until somebody who's ballsy enough to be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's like North Carolina. We have the North Carolina education lottery here. But why is our school system so poor?
Where's the money going?
I mean, we've got billions of dollars going through that North Carolina lottery.
Where's the money?
And yet we're still sitting here cutting, valuable teachers' salaries.
On the bottom 50% of public education, right? We're not.
Exactly.
We're not good.
Dude, we're way down there. I grew up in Massachusetts. Yeah. I was looking at it one day, and North Carolina is, I mean, we're damn near close to 50, And where I grew up, education was, a lot more important. And I could definitely see the difference between Massachusetts and North Carolina, Massachusetts being where I grew up. And that's what I'm saying, though, is I look at these programs like the North Carolina, education lottery and things like that. And I mean, it's just kind of I don't understand why we have that. And yet most of these schools can't even afford to have arts programs or music programs, and why we are paying literally bottom of the barrel teachers to teach the future of our planet, screw the state, the future of our existence. We've got these teachers in there that are these bottom of the barrel teachers because the real good teachers can't afford to live on the salary.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going to say, is if you only pay, 20,000 for a teacher's salary for the year. No one can survive off that, let alone the people that are upbringing our next generation. Like you want them to be comfortable, but nowhere pays what they deserve to be.
Dude, the education system should be competitive, is in my opinion. It should be a job where only the best get hired because we care that much.
But I think that's based on society's viewpoint of what it is. I just pulled it up, and it says the average median like teacher salary is $69,000, with a low in West Virginia at $52,870, but a high in California of $95,160. And if you think about it, based on the cost of living, that's chump change, bro. Like they're barely surviving half the time.
You're telling me that teachers in North Carolina are making $60,000 roughly ballpark? You're saying? I would almost say that I would call BS on that.
I don't believe those numbers.
Well, that's an average.
But are they including like salary? Are they including professors at Yale? I mean, because obviously they're making a lot more than professors at, Pitt Community College or Martin Community College or, any of these other institutions, much less high schools.
Well, ZipRecruiter is saying anywhere between 36 and 65,000. And mind you, the ones that are making 65,000 are probably teachers with like a couple of degrees. So even if you made 65,000, how much of your 65,000 also went towards you paying for the higher education you had to spend to get that job in the first place?
Yeah. People that are making the 65,000 are probably also in New York and California, where $65,000 is nothing to live in a place like North Carolina or New York or California.
Exactly.
I lived in New York, and you have to make a lot of money to be comfortable up there. I mean, it is not really a place where you could work on a typical salary. People can't survive on a lot of the even full-time jobs that the three of us have had in New York, because I've tried to do it before and I was really struggling.
Painful.
So, I mean, it's just not going to happen. And we went on this whole tangent about school, which I'm glad we did, because I mean, honestly, I think it's a very important topic. But that's just coming down to and kind of summarizing it. It's basically the powers to be. What's important to them.
Well, if we are conspiracy theorizing on anything, it's why is our education system so bad? Should be our focus.
And I think the horror film aspect of it is the fact that there doesn't seem like this is a real life horror film in the sense that there's no end in sight. It's literally just a slow moving. You remember you were talking about the thing that you put right here and you're slowly dying? That's basically what we're doing on an everyday basis on a socioeconomic platform where it's like we're all struggling and we're just continuing to struggle with that thing stabbing us in the neck the whole time.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. And I mean, I'm not trying to put anybody down that does make a good living, but I've seen job postings and I know people have had jobs where I'm like, you make how much? And they make a fortune. And they're not really doing a whole lot, and especially not doing a whole lot for society.
Nope.
And it's like, but who does more for society than our educators? I mean, realistically, when you get down to it, and a good education could save so many. Having a teacher that cares, having a good teacher that believes, I mean, it could stop a lot of things. Maybe not overall, and maybe not with everybody, but I mean, even some of these people that end up in these impoverished situations or involved with gangs or anything else. I mean, all it takes is one teacher to really touch somebody and put somebody in the right direction, or to care about somebody, or for somebody to buy into, to get out of a certain lifestyle or a certain direction that they're headed. So
here's a conspiracy theory: is the 1% wants us to stay stupid, so all of our resources for education are being downplayed and downplayed and downplayed, so we stay ignorant. The masses stay ignorant.
Well, I mean, that makes sense to me. They want to keep you in debt anyway, because the number one question I used to always ask was, why is it that like the things that you use, like you have to use, like taxes and credit cards and stuff like that, none of that is a mandatory study in school. And the reason it's not is because the lobbyists go to the government and say, don't put that shit in there. Literally, that's it. And we've just accepted that as the norm. So you mean to tell me this? What do I always say? The two things you're guaranteed are death and taxes. Well, you can't do shit about death, but nobody's even going to teach me about the taxes. I got to just depend on whatever I find on the internet. Like,
Which
come
is
on,
funny
man.
because I thought the whole thing behind taxes was no taxation without representation. I don't know where my taxes are going.
Nope.
I mean, nobody's ever broken that down for me. I don't know. I damn sure know it's not going towards the education system.
That's because it's buried on some website somewhere, and because it's on a website and that's available to you, if you knew what the website was, buried like 96, sub menus deep.
Even if you're looking for it on the internet, you can't find it because it's so entrenched in the system. But it's there.
Right.
It's there. You can look at it. You can.
So they can say that it's available to me if I felt like putting that kind of time and effort into it, but realistically, it's not available to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much.
Right.
That's the part that's crazy to me is that.
And there's really no one you can go to. Be like, hey, this is the specific information I'm looking for.
Right.
How do I find this? There's no one you can go to find that. Like it's so. Ugh.
But while we sit here and discuss these things that, in my opinion, really matter and are important, other people are distracted by the shape of the world and whether we've been to the moon.
Because like you said earlier, so what if they find out it is true? Now what?
Yeah, but why are most people, and not myself and not you guys, and I know you're not like that and I'm not like that, but why are most people nowadays more concerned about the sexual orientation of their neighbor than where their taxes are going?
You know what? I wish I knew, bro. Because whether my neighbor was gay or not really doesn't matter to me. It does nothing for me.
One thing I care about is if I have a good neighbor.
Their bedroom is their prerogative. Why do I even care? Oh, well, I don't want my kids to learn that stuff. Why?
I want my kids to learn something.
I want my
sure
kids
as hell aren't going to learn it in public school.
Right. And they're like, oh, I'm afraid if my kid learns it, they might become gay. I don't think that's how it works. Like, you're attracted to who you're attracted to. Now, don't get me wrong. Are some people suggestible? Yes, I do think there are some subject matters that kids should not be exposed to at a young age because it can be very suggestive. However, I do believe a healthy respect for everybody's decision about what they want and who they want is feasible. You ain't got to go in depth.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter.
But at some point, it really doesn't matter. I don't think a 5 needs to learn about that stuff, but I think a 16, 15, 16-year-old needs to understand why, their classmate has 2 moms. Done. It's not that hard. I think now, at this point, I'm sorry, I'm on a bit of a tangent here, but
we've been on tangents all night, bro.
I know, right? I feel like at this point, the issue is kids consume information so rapidly through the internet and social media that the parents are trying to head it off at the pass and they can't keep up. And that's the only reason you're showing them stuff at a younger and younger age. Because you can't wait until they're 15 because they learned about it when they were 11, and the shit they learned at 11 was so jacked up and stupid. It's like, well, it's too late now.
Well, look at we're all around the same age. We're all from the same generation here. And I mean, quite frankly, think about what we knew when we were growing up versus what children nowadays know at such a younger age because of the accessibility to it. And I mean, it's just, I'm not going to lie, man. There's kind of a part of me that does feel like it was nice to be a kid, and I feel like nowadays a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to be kids because all of the crap is there. It's all easily accessible. It's all out in the open. There's things to worry about now, ahead of time. Whereas, back in the day, you were allowed to be a kid and run around in the woods and pretend sticks were, swords or guns or whatever with your buddies. And you were able to do that into your almost teenage years. Whereas nowadays, I mean, I think most people are, kind of inundated with like societal crap before they're even teenagers.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like, I mean, we're really losing a lot of that childhood that we experienced, and we're losing a lot of, that innocence, not to sound all, and it's too bad. It's really too bad that we're at where we're at. I mean, technology can be such a good thing, like I said, but I mean, I see a lot of the bad in it as well. And and to build on the movies here, and we're going to cut this off here soon because we're going for a long time here. But to include the movies and the horror movies on this, you know, they have the AI movies now where you have like the new Chucky was like that. You have Megan. You have that new one with the guy from Harold and Kumar.
No. I feel like some of the scripts were written by AI because a lot of movies now just don't make sense.
But the whole point of those movies is AI taking over and technology being used against us and everything. And, you know, I feel like that could happen, quite frankly. I mean, I feel like we're at a point now where it's like people will put a, you know, security system in their house that'll lock them in one day, you know?
That's a movie called Tao. Watch it on Netflix.
I was literally thinking that same. That's a good one.
It's actually a good one.
It's a good one. Tao is really good.
That one might be my recommendation for the night. That like it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, if you want to use that, Shawn, as your recommendation, I got another one here for you.
Actually, no, I got another one too.
Okay, so Tao will be my recommendation. It is fantastic. I absolutely loved it when I watched it.
Well, I guess we're at that point in the night. I mean, I could go on about this forever, and maybe this is worthy of a part two. Maybe this is worthy of a part two because I've got a ton of crazy stuff here that I would love to get into.
I'm game.
But we are going to be almost hitting 2 hours here soon. So, Shawn, if you got a recommendation, go ahead and lay it on us.
Ex Machina.
Yes.
And here's the thing. I know some people like horror where it's super gory, like Terrifier, some of those. Like those are super gory, but the ones that really fuck me up, oh man, are the ones the ones that mess with your mind. Because like when I watched Ex Machina, and I'm not gonna give it away, but the ending had me jacked up. Like, oh, that sucks. Man,
I want to talk about it. But I don't want to.
Because like at the end of it, it makes me know
it's really good.
Like it's not just physical pain, but the mind that you get from it. Like, oh, that's the worst. That's the worst. And it's all based on it's the horror of perspective, which I'm sorry, trumps physical pain by leaps and bounds. It
shows the massive difference between the two characters other than the AI of Ex Machina.
That's
honestly, the actors are great. You have who is it? Oscar Isaac and the other dude. I don't know his name. He's in like Black Mirror.
Yep.
He's fantastic in anything I've seen him in. I just don't know his name. And that was early career for Oscar Isaac before he, became the superpower in Hollywood that he is today.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Okay.
Yeah, Domhnall Gleeson is the guy who runs the thing, and then Oscar. Yeah, Domhnall Gleeson is the guy that got stuck, and then Oscar Isaac is the genius.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, so I feel like both of us are recommending the same movies. Very much.
Okay, so wait, I'm kind of interested to see which one Jake comes up with to see it still follows the same.
Man, I'm not even gonna lie. Going into this, I really didn't have anything prepared. I don't know why. You know what I'm going to throw out there is it's an oldie but goodie. Just because I was thinking about AI locking you in a box, and that's not really what happened in this movie. But I'm going to kind of go with Cube.
You did
it.
Yes.
Nice pick. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a good one.
That'll be mine for the night, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this because unfortunately we have to with my quote, which is. I think fitting for tonight. It's not a horror quote, but it is a horror quote. This is all horror. This is real life horror. And my quote tonight is: the only thing necessary for evil to triumph in the world is that good men do nothing.